Next, we are going to see how to implement many-to-many association in C++ language. In database, when we have two tables that have many-to-many cardinality, we have to make a new intermediate table that is linked with both of these tables. It is compulsory in database to do this, but in the C++ language, it is up to the programmer and his requirements whether he needs to make a new class or not. So right here we have example of student and course. So one student can enroll in n number of courses, and for a single course we can have n number of students in that course as well. So it is totally up to the programmer which approach he chooses to look for depending on the requirements of the situation. So for instance, I need to introduce more attributes within that class that need to be stored, then I would need to make a new table or new class. But if I don't need to store more attributes, then I need not to make a new class. So for example, if I just need to represent this relationship end to end, I could do it in C++ as this. Class student, here we would have its attributes, and then we would have a course pointer array. So I would have course array that would have an n cardinality. Similarly, in the class course, I would have a pointer array that has n cardinality as well. Attributes, and I would have a student array of pointers that has n cardinality. So in C++ language, this is absolutely fine to do, and this code would work. It would result in no error. In the database, however, this isn't possible as it violates certain constraints of the database. So in database, you have to always make a new intermediate table. So now let's see what happens when we need to store some attributes. Here this code perfectly works, but what we will do if we needed to store more attributes for the course. For example, a student is maintaining an array that has pointer of each course he or she is enrolled in, but what if I needed to store grades of that course as well? I would not be able to do it if I don't introduce a new class. Then I would need to make really complex arrangements in the code. For example, I would have to make a string grade array, and whenever I am adding a course to the course array, in that appropriate position I would need to add grade in that respective position of the string grade array. How do I stop this manual process and let the program do it automatically for me? To do that, I would need to make a new class, and you can see here it has a string grade attribute. So how do we implement all this cardinality? Here we have 1 to n, n to 1. So how do we implement this? Its implementation is as class student. So in student class, for one student, he will have n registration pointers. So it would go something like this: registration, ptr, and n. Meanwhile, the registration class has a string grade attribute here, and the registration has cardinality. For one registration object, we have cardinality 1 course. So our registration would have a 1 course pointer, course ptr. The registration also has a cardinality of 1 of student pointer. So our registration class would also have a student pointer here. Now we need to look at the course class course. So our course class has n number of registration objects. So we have an array of pointers, and that's about it. So whenever we divide two classes that has many-to-many association, it is up to the programmer to say if he has to make a new class or not. If he has to store more attributes, then he should make a new class. But if not, then he could do fine with the previous design. But whenever we introduce a new class, the cardinality always goes from 1 to n and n to 1. That is the key here.